Welcome back to my channel. I'm Traben. I think this might be one of the few places, if you squint, you can see some tomes right over there. There are my tomes. And today we are going to tier rank everything I read in July. Welcome to my first like tier ranking video in a while. We are going to be tier ranking all the books I read in July on this tier rank. So at the top we've got Treasured Tomes. Down, next one up, widely recommend. So I would just like broadly say yes. Say I would recommend this to people. Yellow is fine. Orange is bad. Red is awful. So I was very clever with the top one, and then we just kind of get into just some generic titling here. If you've got some suggestions on how we can change up these tiers to be a little bit more, in line with the channel as a whole, let me know in the comments. But we're going to go ahead and jump into this. I want to make sure that we can get through this in a timely manner, and we've got I think 16 to get through today. So yeah, jump into it with What Feasts at Night. This was part of my Summerween challenge. So if you want to hear more of my thoughts on this, you can go watch the video from Sunday, where I went over all my Summerween reads and talked about what I liked, what I didn't. This is going to fall probably bottom. It's probably going to end up being bottom of the widely recommended. I feel like this got a 3-star, so like it maybe should be here, but I feel like with what we're getting into later, this is probably more accurate. If you're a fan of gothic horror, you will probably get a kick out of this, and I enjoy the character and liked it enough that I'm going to pick up the sequel. So like I can't say it's just like okay. I think it's good. Um, Next up, I have Stuart Wood's Family Jewels. Now, a little bit of background on this one. I got this as a reward book, essentially. Like it was a free book from one of the library systems near me for their summer reading program. It is the 37th book in a series that I have very little interest in, starring a ex police officer, now lawyer, who goes around and solves cases, but honestly, he more just like fumbles through a case until it's kind of solved around him. And I'm really not a fan of that type of writing, that kind of detective work. If you've looked at my review from like way early in the channel, and you watched Threads That Bind, that was my big problem with Threads That Bind. I hesitate to say that it's bad, but it's bad for me because it just was not. It's just not my vibe. It's not what I want to be reading. Uh, so I think, honest, like in the whole of fiction, it was inoffensive. It was fine, but it was just not at all my thing. So for me personally, putting it in bad. I did not like this one. Next up, completely different vibe. Can you solve the murder? I have a Can I Solve video in the works. It'll probably get posted next Tuesday. And it's Can I Solve? Can you solve the murder? Excellent title. And this was great. This is a choose your own adventure style book where you have to go and make what feels like meaningful decisions on how to approach this case. Uh, you have to decide whether or not you're going to question this witness or that witness, whether you're going to stay with this thread line here, or if you're going to go over here and talk to this person. Who are you going to put your deputies on certain things versus you're going to do yourself? Um, and all of that was really cool. It gave me the sense that there is a much bigger story, that there are still things I didn't get. There's still things I didn't catch as I was going through it. And at the end, you get a whole scoring system of like, if you got XYZ clues, it's worth this many points, and you can rank yourself how good of a detective you are. I'm not going to say how well I did because I want you to watch the video. But know that this is a treasured tome. I absolutely love this. I can't wait to get the next book. I hope that this author continues to make these because this is the first in a series, it seems. I know the second one is out, and I really do want to experience this again and go through and try to solve another murder. All right. Ultraman Volume 20. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you know with Ultraman and over here with Miss Marvel, we're going to have a little bit of the Ultraman Miss Marvel bump. That being said, even with the bump, this is fine. It's not anything to write home about. It is not doing anything that's really like pushing the envelope or is drastically changing the character of Ultraman, but it is having a lot of fun with the concept that I feel like Ultraman as an entire show and series is very invested in, which is like legacy characters and kind of reinventing them for a new age and making it fresh for new viewers. And it's fine. They read really quick because there's honestly very little dialogue going on. And if you're not a fan of the plots within plots within plots and the constant changing of alliances over the course of a story, you're not going to like that aspect of it. But for me, it's Ultraman. It's fun. It's fine. Put it right there in the middle. All right, this is Choyun's Teddy Bears Never Die. This is going to go higher in the widely recommend. I think that if you are a fan of like quirky, bizarre horror, this does feature someone whose soul has been trapped inside a teddy bear as part of its like central premise. Deals with a lot of concepts of Korean monsters, and is another one that I do a little bit more of a deep dive in my Summerween video. So check that out if you're interested in hearing more detailed thoughts. But know that I would recommend this. I think more people should read it. It was a lot of fun. All right, Summer Hikaru Died, Volume 6 and 7. So these are, if I've said this before about manga, if you're on like volume 6 or volume 10 or volume 112, like of course you're going to like have more invested in the story. The Summer Hikaru Died has kind of evolved over several different like mini arcs, and we are getting into I think the last bit of the story. This one is going to go I think even higher than Teddy Bears Never Die, and I would probably put would I put it like that? I'd probably put it like this, honestly, with 7 a little bit higher, just because as we get closer and closer to that core mystery, we're revealing more and more of the true nature of what Hikaru is and what's going on in that story. If you've never heard of Summer Hikaru Dies, it is about two boys, and one has been his body snatcher has been replaced by a alien entity, some sort of supernatural being, and a lot of the story revolves around just finding out what's going on in this village and how long it's been going on. It reminds me quite a bit of When They Cry or Higurashi, if you're familiar with that series. Doesn't have the like people going nuts like it does in Higurashi, but this whole like ancient festival that has some sort of deeper meaning, this whole mystery of the town element to it is very reminiscent of that series as well. That was an anime series. So yeah, if you're into like cosmic horror, but you want a more grounded story that's more interested in the way that this impacts individuals in the world, that's what Summer Hikaru Dies is giving you. Next one is Magic the Gathering Ravnica. This is War of the Spark Ravnica. this one, I think I'm going to put here a little bit ahead of Ultraman, just because, like, as badly written as some of these characters were, because you're taking a property, Magic the Gathering, and you are having one author kind of write all these different characters that I don't think was prepared for the depth of lore that they were having, that they suddenly got dropped on them. Um, the ancient immortal dragon god Nicol Bolas should not be like talking the way that he does. It's very casual. Like, it doesn't feel like anybody has a unique voice in here, which I would normally, which is bad. That's not a good thing. But what I will say about it is there were a couple of points in the story that were highlights for me, knowing about the characters, even if it was just like the barest minimum that we could have done with the content. I still had a couple moments that were fun standouts for me, and that I will remember. War of the Spark was one of my favorite sets in recent memory, just because it was the culmination of so many stories and had the involvement of so many different characters. So yeah, if you're a fan of Magic the Gathering, it's fine. I'm going to be reading the Strixhaven book here soon, and I'm hoping it's better. I've heard more things about the Strixhaven book, more positive things than I did about this one. So I think it's fine to skip, but I enjoyed parts of it. Billy Bat, I think, is going to go toward the end of widely recommended, and this is suffering from kind of the opposite of what I was talking about before. It's the first volume of a manga. It sets up a bit of the mystery. I know this goes on for a good number of issues. I want to say that I looked it up. It was up to like 20 something. I'm not quite sure, given what I read in volume 1, how they're going to sustain that for that long. But it was just wild, some of the left turns this was taking. And so we have this character who is writing a comic book in America, like a comic strips, Sunday Funnies kind of thing. Kind of like Dick Tracy-esque, but it stars a bat. And he learns that he might have stolen that bat image from Japan, like accidentally. So he travels to Japan. This is like taking place, I think, post World War II, like Allied occupied Japan, and he goes back to try to find the person who originally drew the bat, and he starts finding just wild things associated with this. I don't want to go into too much detail because I do think it is worth going into blind. Just know that there is some amazing stuff at the core of this story. Amazing twists and like just weird things happening. I really enjoyed that one. I read the Field Guide to the Gifted Student. This is the like okayest okay book. I had to read this for work. Basically, this is a series of personality types associated with different gifted students, and gives you some advice on how to manage each one, how what each needs to succeed. I was also tasked with thinking about students I have previously had that exemplify these different groups, and talk about some of my experiences. What did I do to successfully reach that student? And a lot of it just comes down to like giving them a voice in the classroom, not dismissing their insights and their creativity. So I felt like a lot of the advice was very samey. I also take some issue with this idea of like putting people into boxes, which the book itself is like, we admit at the end, they're like, we admit that people aren't going to fall into this group, cleanly. Not everyone's going to like fit into a box. And I'm like, okay, but like you wrote a whole book about it. So weird that you're kind of like backtracking at the last minute. But it was fine. It was okay. I don't think anybody wants, I don't think, if you're not a teacher, you're not going to want to read this. But yeah, I don't know. You might see yourself if you're a gifted student, you might see yourself in some of the profiles, and it's only like 35 pages. So, yeah, a good read. Just, not something I would have picked up on my own, obviously. All right, we have the Happiness Collector. This was a Caffeine and Legends book. I'm trying to catch up on my Caffeine and Legends reading, and this was not good. This was bad. I like this less than Family Jewels because like at least Family Jewels, I didn't want to get this book, and Happiness Collector. I was excited reading the premise. It sounded good. This one sounded fine, and it was. It was okay. This one, I have many issues with it. The premise here is that this woman is given an opportunity to go and do this like research job for a lot of money, like I think 400 million a year. That's our annual salary, and or 400 is it 400,000? Makes more sense. But it was an obscene amount of money, to do research. Um, and there's this whole plot at the beginning with her and her fiance, and like how their relationship kind of breaks down that is completely meaningless. Like it does not go anywhere. It doesn't matter until like toward the very end of the book. This is not a spoiler because it's on the back of the book, but you find out that this is all like a ploy from some gods to collect happiness, because she's researching what makes people happy, to collect happiness so that they can then erase it. And like, okay, that's fine. I don't think that aspect of it was handled very well. That reveal doesn't happen until like halfway through the book, and up to that point, it's very dull. Like her just going around researching and like trying to figure out what's going on. She never would have guessed that it was gods. And then after that, it's a lot of like, sneaking around and trying to find goofy ways to not get caught. There's a lot of like techno babble in here of just like, here's an easy way to just avoid detection on a system that's designed to record everything your phone hears. And then the thing that really bothered me is this is a COVID book, which is fine. I know a lot of people were writing during that time period as a way of coping. When the book started, I was really wondering, like, I was like, didn't this just come out? Why are we setting this in 2018? And the reason why is because uh, the COVID outbreak is like the culmination of the gods collecting all this sadness and making the world a terrible place. And it's just like, I feel like it's too soon. I did not like that aspect of it at all. And also, like, I don't know if you remember COVID, but there was a lot of creativity going on at that point too. There were some people who really like thrived and found their hobbies again. Like the author is projecting her particular experience with that, with the lockdowns and with the social distancing. That is not everybody's story. Not everybody was miserable and sad. There were people who you know enjoyed the freedom that um, working by correspondence afforded them, and they were able to again reignite with their passions and find art and do all these different things. So I just found that really a weird choice. I did not like that at all. Um, and also just like it was so blasé, you know this is just a time of real big sadness. It's like a lot of people died, and in the course of the book, I think one minor character, one completely inconsequential character, uh, ends up dying from COVID, and the rest of it is just treated like, oh man, isn't it so terrible that we have to social distance and like, we have to do something for our social responsibility, but we're not even going to do that. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm rambling about something that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but I did not like that aspect of the book. It became much more about how bad the COVID-19 lockdowns were than it was about anything dealing with the plot. Did not care for it. It's bad. All right, next, How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. Again, this was a Summer Ween book. This one, I'm putting it in fine. I'm trying to decide where it goes. I think it is better. I mean, it's better than Ravnica. It's better than War of the Smart. Um, yeah, this is an okay book. This is about a girl who is in academia. She's in media studies, which I was also in college, and she is exploring the overlap between rom-coms and slasher films, particularly with irony, I think, but also with like the way women are portrayed and those types of things. She goes on this speed dating thing with a friend, and at the second to last interview, the second to last partnership that they do, lights go off, lights come back on. Guy she's talking to has his neck slashed, the doors are locked. Everyone's terrified, everyone's running around. Um, Book is a little too slow. I think that the slasher genre does not work well in book form, just because all the build up to the final confrontation is a lot of nothing. At least in this book, it felt that way. But it was a fun enough premise, and I think the end really redeemed it quite a bit. That I want to read the sequel, so I can't say that it's bad. I think it's okay. If you are a fan of slashers or rom coms, especially like it's more slasher than rom com, but if you're a fan of either of those, give it a shot. Take a look at it. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Ultimately, it's fairly derivative, but in a way, it kind of had to be because it is a very blatant homage to so many slasher films and those types of stock characters. So yeah, check it out if you're a fan of that particular genre, that particular movie genre. Next up, we have Miss Marvel. I can't remember the subtitle for this one. It's the only Miss Marvel book, um, as far as I'm aware, that's out. This one, I think, is going to be even higher in fine. So I think it's going to go there. Now, this is also like, it gets the Miss Marvel bump, where, again, I talked about that with Ultraman. Like, it was a typical YA story, pretty by the numbers, no real big surprises, kind of a lackluster conclusion with the villain. Um, but I love Miss Marvel, and I'm gonna bump up anything that has to do with Miss Marvel, so that's where it's gonna go. If you're a fan of Miss Marvel specifically, I would pick it up. If you want kind of a coming of age, I think she's a Pakistani um, superhero story. I don't know where else you're going to find it, uh, but I do think it has that appeal to a particular audience and to a sense of Miss Marvel's always been good about this sense of like duty to your family and then duty as a superhero. And I think this does a good job of exploring both of those aspects of her life. Um, I did feel like there was one point in here that could have been handled better. The story deals a lot with grief and um, if you had the power to save someone at the cost of changing that person, should you do it? And I feel like uh, the story just held Miss Marvel's hand a little bit too much in that. I wish it would have given her a little bit more agency to come around and see that what she initially planned on doing is not, the right thing to do, rather than just being told. So that was like my biggest criticism of this book. But overall, like I said, it's Miss Marvel story. I liked it. It goes top of fine. All right, Ice Cream Man Sunday edition. This is again a book for Summerween. It's going to be rough placing this one. It's definitely going up on the top tier. It's definitely a treasure tome. I just don't know. I think I am going to put it above Can You Solve the Murder? Both of them are doing something different with their medium. I did like the um, choose your own adventure aspect of Can You Solve the Murder, but the things that Ice Cream Man's doing with like the comic book medium and the like writing for trade paperback, that type of thing, I think was just a lot of fun. It was fun seeing the way that it played around with the visuals and the dialogue, that type of thing. And it was a fun horror story. And I mentioned this in my video. I would put this right alongside Something Is Killing the Children, um, Nights, and Bunny Mask as one of my favorite horror comics being printed right now. Just a lot of fun. It's kind of a Twilight Zone, like or Tales of the Crypt style thing. If you like Tales of the Crypt, you'd probably get a big kick out of it. And the creative team behind this one is now writing The Dead Man for DC. So if you are a fan of Ice Cream Man, you should check out The Dead Man, which is about the character Deadman, which is a kind of obscure DC character. Um, but I've got so yeah. Again, just read it; it's fun. Ice Cream Man, very good. One of the best things I've read this year. There is no Anti-Memetics division. I think this one's going to go top of the widely recommended, and I'm starting to see a trend as we go further and further here. This is more like pushing genre and pushing the envelope of like what you can do with storytelling. This is taking, Summer Hikaru Died is taking cosmic horror and making it a more relatable story in the same way that like Bunny Mask did. Can You Solve the Murder is of course a choose your own adventure. Ice Cream Man's doing all sorts of stuff with the comic book form. There is no Anti-Memetics division is working with like the SCP content, if you're familiar with SCP, and it is trying to focus in on the anti-memetic threats, which are the ones that are protect themselves by making you forget they exist. So they have some ability that when you look away from them, you forget them. If you try to write things down, you look back and it's all like hieroglyphics. Tape players won't work around some of them. Video photography won't work around some of them. And it deals with escalating that threat to a global level over the course of the book. Within that is also just like a really heart-wrenching like relationship story. Not necessarily romance, but just like what are the links you would go to save someone from a threat that you were only tangentially aware of. A lot in here about like working on instinct and the idea that like you will do the same thing that you did before, even if you don't know that you did that thing. Now, of course, it has to cheat a little bit. Like you as the reader have to know a little bit more about what's going on than any of the characters. So you see these moments, you see these events that the characters then move on and forget about. I don't think it would be possible to write this any other way, but it was very satisfying and had a surprising amount of depth for something that's effectively like built out of this community that's essentially like fan fiction, like horror fan fiction conglomerate. I really liked it. It was really good. So highly recommend that one. It's really close to a Treasure Tome, just didn't quite make it there. And then we've got Nothing But Blackened Teeth. This is the last one for the Summerween. This book's awful. I disliked pretty much everything about this. I mentioned in the wrap up that no aspect of this was effective or worked, plot wise, character wise. Did it make sense? Like, was it coherent? None of that helped. None of that was right. And I think at this point, the only people I know who are reading this, like they're aware of the bad reviews, they're reading it because they want to see. They've got like a morbid fascination with like, what is this book about? Now, I do think, and I mentioned this in the review again, I do think there was a story there that could have been something. I don't disagree with like the kernel of the story the core of the story, they're just executed so poorly. And I think it's a good example. You can do a lot looking into it about what not to do with your writing. One of the major things I will say, again, because I've already gone through this, is that you need to make sure that your prose is matching your character in so far as you're writing something from either a first person perspective or a third person limited perspective. The writing should not be obviously more verbose and overwrought than the character. One of the easiest fixes for this book would have been making the protagonist more insufferable, in all honesty. If they had been someone who was just absolutely, you know, using that elevated language for no other reason than to kind of flex their intelligence at all times, then the kind of overwritten prose would have read a little bit more as something that worked with the character. And as it is written, that did not happen, and so it just really really clashes with the rest of the book. So so that is going to do it for my tier list for this month. Down in the comments below, let me know if you've read any of these books, if you agree or disagree with my thoughts. I am here for any kind of dialogue as far as discussing these books. Also, let me know if we do a tier list in the future, what are some more clever tier lists that we can have, some sort of tier rankings we can have, or did you like the tier rankings as they're written? I think it would be kind of fun to try to get these a little bit more in line with some of the other stuff on the channel. As always, I hope your reading journey is going well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so we can grow this corner of our BookTube community. And until the next one, take care.